China has officially declared billionaire investor George Soros a global terrorist, labeling him the son of Satan.
His program has been to make the societies he focuses on more dangerous. In other words, it's a program of destruction aimed at the West.
In my opinion, he fundamentally hates humanity.
These are just a few of the inflammatory accusations leveled against the 93-year-old billionaire investor and philanthropist. But why does Soros inspire such hatred? Is he using his wealth for good or for evil? These accusations are part of a broader narrative that paints George Soros as a mastermind behind global unrest and political manipulation. Today, we'll go beyond the conspiracy theories and reveal the true nature of Soros's work. I recently posted a video that was critical of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Afterwards, I was flooded by negative comments accusing me of being funded by Soros. For the record, I'm not funded by Soros or anybody else, but I wondered why. So I started digging. Now, I'll be honest, I expected to despise Soros. I'm no liberal. But what I found shocked me. Dictators hate Soros for supporting open societies. But even more surprising, the deafening silence from conservatives who once championed the very ideals that Soros fights for. Stick around to the end, and I think you'll see Soros and his critics in a new light. George Soros was born to a prosperous Jewish family in Budapest in 1930. He survived the Nazi occupation of Hungary by posing as the Christian godson of a government official. As the Soviets tightened their grip on Hungary after the war, Soros fled to the UK in 1947, where he studied philosophy under Karl Popper at the London School of Economics. Popper's concept of the open society would become Soros's lifelong lodestar. Soros went on to make his fortune as a hedge fund manager, famously breaking the Bank of England in 1992 by shorting the pound. For this, he has been accused of destabilizing governments for his own profit. But Soros has put his wealth to use to advance the cause of open societies worldwide. In South Africa, Soros' scholarships provided new opportunities for black students during apartheid. Behind the Soviet Union's Iron Curtain, his support for dissidents spread hope. In the post-Soviet era, he helped build stable democracies in former Soviet states. But there's one story that truly encapsulates the scale and impact of Soros' humanitarian work. We'll get to that shortly. Today, Soros' philanthropic network, the Open Society Foundation, operates in over 100 countries, with annual spending over $1 billion. The OSF pursues a broad agenda. They fund public defenders in the US. They support LGBT causes worldwide. They support public health initiatives in Africa and provide aid to Syrian refugees. As one of the largest private funders of democracy and human rights initiatives, the OSF fights tyranny in ways the US government either can't or won't. Its flexibility as a philanthropic organization allow it to directly challenge authoritarian regimes by funding groups that monitor elections, expose corruption, and defend journalists and activists. This commitment has made Soros a target for dictators worldwide. Soros' support for migrants and refugees has made him the target of xenophobic and nationalist attacks. In Russia, Soros and his organizations have been banned, with Vladimir Putin accusing him of orchestrating color revolutions to destabilize the region. Turkey's President Erdogan has claimed that Soros is behind protests and uprisings in his country, while Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban has launched a sustained marketing campaign against Soros.
There are large-bodied predators who are swimming here in our waters. This is the transborder empire of George Soros, with tons of money and international heavy artillery.
Oh, and remember those angry comments from Modi supporters? One of the reasons for the intense animosity from Modi supporters is Soros' support of the Human Rights Law Network. The HRLN has been a vocal critic of Modi's policies, which many view as discriminatory and anti-democratic. His supporters see Soros as a foreign meddler trying to undermine India's sovereignty. But if you're not talking to a dictator, you might hear about a different Soros. The story that best exemplifies Soros' humanitarian work came during the Bosnian War of the early 90s. As the city suffered under constant bombardment and sniper fire from Bosnian Serb forces, Soros personally visited Sarajevo to witness the crisis firsthand. He contributed $50 million to supply food, medicine, and other essential goods to the city's trapped residents. Soros also worked to restore water and electricity supplies, and even ventured near the front lines to negotiate the safe passage of aid convoys. But it's in his adopted home of the United States where Soros has become perhaps the most polarizing. His involvement in U.S. politics began in earnest in 2004, when he contributed $27 million to groups trying to defeat President George W. Bush. Soros has focused his U.S. efforts on causes like backing progressive DAs who favor reduced jail time, reducing sentencing for drug offenses, and treating addiction like a public health issue. For this, critics accuse Soros of being soft on crime and enabling drug abuse. In 2016, Soros contributed $2 million to help elect Kim Foxx as state's attorney in Cook County, Illinois. Foxx later drew criticism for lenient sentencing and for dropping charges against actor Jussie Smollett after he faked a hate crime. Soros promotes a welcoming approach to immigration, funding groups like the ACLU and supporting the racial justice movement after George Floyd's murder. More recently, he has been accused by right-wing pundits of supporting pro-Palestinian rallies at American universities. Now, let me be clear. I don't support all of Soros's progressive causes in the U.S., like funding progressive DAs and his wealth redistribution programs. But Soros's work abroad promotes classical liberal values: free markets, free press, individual liberty, and limits on government power. When it comes to this mission, I'm with him. These are values that have long been championed by conservatives. Ironically, the conservatives who now vilify Soros once celebrated the ideas that inspired him. Karl Popper was revered by conservative icons like Margaret Thatcher and William F. Buckley, but their silence also reflects a new strain of conservative thinking that is increasingly comfortable with authoritarianism and skeptical of the post-war liberal order that we helped build. Despite the intense criticism and wild conspiracy theories thrown his way, Soros remains committed to his vision of an open society. Even in his 90s, he's not slowing down. He recently pledged another $1 billion to universities promoting freedom of expression and democracy. Love him or hate him, you can't deny that Soros has put his wealth to work for something he believes in. His opponents see him as a man pushing a radical leftist agenda. But for those who share his dream of a world where everyone can live and speak freely, Soros is an inspiration and an ally. After all, if brutal dictators like Xi, Erdogan, and Putin hate him, he must be doing something right.